Well, hello. Thank you for joining once again. My name is Al Westerman, and I'm honored that you're joining along with us. Today, we're in week 5 of our series on how to fight for good mental health during COVID-19. In this episode, we want to look at some strategies on how to fight for good mental health. These are some ways that you may not have thought of. They are suggestions, they are tools, they are not medical advice. They've helped me, so I believe that they'll help you, and I really feel like sharing them with you. So first, we're going to start off by talking about 8 things that actually subtract from our mental health, and then we're going to talk about 8 ways to combat for good mental health. These are just strategies. So first thing I want to talk about is disconnection. I believe with all of my heart that this is at the core. I believe so many of us are suffering like we haven't before because we are more socially disconnected. We are social beings. We have different varying degrees of how much social time we need. Some people are more introverted, some people are more extroverted, but everyone has that desire for social connection. Next thing I want to talk about is stress. Stress is huge for all of this. The stress of school coming up, the stress of bills coming out, the stress of needing to get assignments done, the stress of, there are all of these stressors. And beyond just the noticeable things, there's just the cognitive load of living. And living with a certain degree of stress continually just beats you down. It doesn't allow you to go into the rest and digest. It keeps you in fight-flight. And we need to be in rest and digest. Next one I want to talk about is inconsistent sleep. Almost everyone I talk to who is struggling with mental health says that they have an inconsistent sleep pattern. And the reason why this takes away is because it affects your gut microbiome. It affects your gut, it affects your mood, it affects your energy, and all of this plays. When your gut microbiome gets off, it signals to your brain differently. You're not the same person when you have a bad night's sleep. You're grouchier, you're more irritable, your mental health is worse. Next one I want to talk about is past trauma and self-image. Now, past trauma doesn't always lead to present bad self-image or poor self-image, and the other way is also true. But they can be connected. Sometimes you've had a past trauma and this haunts you. Sometimes it's been something else, or negative things have happened to you throughout your life, and it's caused you to develop a negative or a poor self-image. Obviously, the way that you view yourself has so much to do with the story that you tell yourself, and that has so much to do with how you feel. If you remember back to the first episode, you say that you don't just see or hear something and then you feel something. You've actually told yourself a story in between those steps. So you see or hear something, you tell yourself a story, and then you feel an emotion, and then you act based off that. So trauma and poor self-image can lead to a worse story, and that is another contributor to negative self-help, negative mental health. Number 5 we want to talk about is drugs and alcohol. Now, this may be obvious, but this is not a good long-term strategy. Using drugs or alcohol to make you feel better may help in the moment, but it's going to leave you worse. It's borrowing tomorrow's happiness for today. Number 6, the one I want to talk about probably the most, is nutrition. Now, this one was biggest for me. It was most notable for me, and still is for negative for negative mental health, mental illness, let's say. I notice that when I don't eat as well, my mental health state gets so much worse. One of the reasons for this is blood sugar spikes and dips. Now, your blood sugar spikes, that's good. You're almost in manic. Your blood sugar plummets, and then it is almost depressive. So it's not manic depressive disorder, but it's a good way to understand how it works. Your blood sugar goes whoosh, and then it goes flu. And when you're in the flu, you feel it. You feel hangry, you feel sad. There's just much less control. Number 7 is phones and screen. Now, I think this slide that I'm showing you says it all. 100% of screen time is linked to unhappiness, and 100% of off-screen time is linked to increased happiness. So the more time you spend on screens, the harder it's going to be for you to be positive. The harder it's going to be for you to be happy. And we want to be happy. I get it. It's very easy to go to your phone. It's very easy to scroll through Instagram or Etsy or whatever it is that you like. You get that quick endorphin boost every once in a while, but it brings you down. This is not my opinion. This is research. Maybe we wish it didn't go this way because it's easy and it would be nice to have brought us to a happier place, but it doesn't. It brings us down. And last one I want to talk about is family history and genetics. This too is a cause. This too is a contributor to mental illness, and I just want to say that it is not 100% fixed. It does not mean that because you have a family history of mental illness that you will not get out of this. One thing that I keep saying is that this is not a life sentence. You do not have to deal with this for the rest of your life. There is a way out. You can do it. Now, I heard Jordan Peterson say the other day, he was talking about happiness. And what most people want is to be happy. Now, what do they mean when they say that? He says if you really pare down what they mean when they say that they want to be happy, what they're saying is, I don't want to be miserable. These aren't the same thing. Whatever you focus on magnifies. Your life goes in the direction of your strongest thoughts. So make the strongest thoughts of your mind go toward being happy. Pursue it. This is one of the theses of this whole series that I'm doing. It's that passion finds a way. Apathy finds an excuse. There are 1,000,001 excuses out there. And mind you, they're valid excuses. We are in a global pandemic. This is hard. This is a very hard time to be alive. I get that. I really do. I'm living in it as well. And it's not easy, and I wish we weren't. There are other reasons. You're busy. You have other things to do. Your kids are bugging you. Your parents are bugging you. Everything is someone else's fault, basically. It's very easy to find excuses. And again, they can be valid, but it's very easy to find excuses. But if you're passionate, if you are passionate about getting better, I promise you can. If you get really gritty, about this, I believe you can. Grit is the combination of passion and perseverance. Perseverance is key. Because if it doesn't work in a day, if it doesn't work in a week or a month, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. And so what I want you to get passionate about, in no particular order, is first off, sleep. Your sleep pattern is actually determined more by when you wake up in the morning than when you go to bed at night. That's how your circadian rhythm gets set. So find a time that you think you can wake up at, the earliest possible time that you think is logical, and then try to wake up within 10-15 minutes of that time, before or after, every day. So for me, I wake up within 10 minutes of 6 o'clock every day. That's just my routine. That's what I've been doing for years. Find a time, whether it's 9 in the morning, 8 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, whatever that time is. I understand some of you are on shift work and that's impossible, but just try to find a time that you can wake up at. Next one I want to talk about is nutrition. This has been the biggest one for me. I am so grateful for what nutrition has done for me. Changing my diet to focus on protein and then micronutrients has changed everything. I no longer have to fight for mental health because my food does it for me. I hope your situation will be the same, but I don't even have to fight anymore. I don't have to use any of these other strategies just because the food one allows me to get everything else in line much easier. Retraining your focus is huge, but I very rarely have to do it these days. Now, focusing on protein, micronutrients, and then adding in your fuel. If you want to do the whole keto thing and go high fat, low carb, that's great. I love doing that. If you want to have low fat, high carb, that's fine, but have protein high. It should be, according to doctors that I've heard, this is not my suggestion, around 30% of your caloric intake should be protein, 30 to 35%. Next one we want to talk about is exercise. Dr. Gary talked last time a bit about exercise, and he mentioned some of the great ways. He likes to do kettlebell swings, high intensity interval training. That stuff is really, really important. It's really powerful and can make a difference in your life. Even if you want to go a completely different route and do cardio, that's fine. I heard somewhere that 20 minutes of cardio 3 times a week is equal to a mild antidepressant. That's how powerful exercise is. It regrows brain cells. It is extremely powerful and effective. Number 4, and I kind of just mentioned it, is retraining your focus. I did episode 1 on this, so I will just sum it down presently to say that it is choosing what you focus on. It's choosing the story that you choose to tell yourself. It is empowering yourself to change the story, to change your narrative to one that is going to be life-giving to you. Next one I want to talk about, number 5, is prayer and meditation. Now, I believe meditation is an extremely useful tool for centering yourself, for creating a calm within you. Maybe you can focus on an idea that you want to become or live into and allow that to grow. You focus on a dream that you want for your future, and that can grow. That said, prayer, bringing Jesus into the equation, bringing Holy Spirit into the equation, takes it to the next level, because you are connecting with the being who created and sustains all things. You are connecting yourself to his joy and his peace. They become yours in your heart when you connect with him. This is absolutely irreplaceable. Number 6 we want to talk about is posture. Now, if we were to think there are 2 people behind a curtain, one of them is depressed, the other one is not, you'd probably be able to pick out which one. So, for example, is the depressed person going to have their shoulders back, their chin up, their chest out, taking deep breaths, talking nice and loud, talking nice and fast? Or are they going to have their shoulders forward, their chin down? Are they going to be having shallow breathing? Are they going to be talking slow and quiet? Understand this is an exaggeration, but you can actually hack your biology. Tony Robbins talked about this, and he called it like a summary of what he learned in 20 years. You can hack your biology just by pulling yourself up, taking up space because you deserve it, making noise, talking fast. I've tried this. It works. You can change the way that you're presently feeling by changing how you are being. Really powerful. Number 7 I want to talk about is posture. I just talked about posture. Purpose. Really close. We are created to help other people. I've often said, if you want to be miserable your whole life, the key to doing that is focusing on yourself. It's good to focus on yourself. That's why on the airplanes they say, do your own air mask before you help someone else. But you want to be helping other people. You want to be making a difference in their lives. Neurochemistry-wise, explosions go off in your head, and you have this really good feeling when you do something that doesn't benefit you but just benefits someone else. We are designed and created to help other people. We're going to talk more about that next week. And lastly, what I want to talk about is meaningful connections. I understand that we are in a global pandemic and that You're not allowed to just go hugging everyone. I'm not suggesting you do that. What I am suggesting that you do is that you have a conversation with a friend. You share how you're feeling. You share some difficult things that are happening in your life. You share some triumphs that are happening in your life. You look them in the eye when you do it. We need each other. We need to connect with one another. So if you do that by going on a walk, good on you, please do. I'm not recommending you go and break rules. What I am pleading you to do is to have meaningful connections with other people. So there is my list. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are 8 things that take away from your mental health, and 8 tools that you can use to fight for better mental health. I hope you find this helpful. If you want to connect with me, I'll have my email down there. I'll have all 16 items down in the description, and I would love to connect with you. Again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm a pastor, and I really care about people. I care about you, and I want to see you living your best life. Thank you, and God bless.